Yo, when you first get started with Claude Cowork and get really excited about building something, you're going to use tokens way faster than you ever thought possible. Here's what I do to limit the amount of tokens that get used, and then what I do after I've used up all my tokens. First, I have a good file system that I use for Claude. The first thing that I set up was a claude.md file that told Claude I don't want it to narrate every single thing that it does. I don't need it to explain everything that it's going through, and I want it to just execute and let me know when it's done. Because when you first get started, what you don't understand is that all that talking that Claude does is using up tokens. And then when you ask another question, it looks through that entire context and uses all those tokens again. So you use more and more tokens as you go. Having a good Claude MD or a context file really prevents Claude from talking too much and using up those kind of tokens. The next thing that I do is after about 10 or 15 different questions, I ask Claude to create a handoff document. And what this is it's a document that Claude will create for you that talks about everything that you've done in the last 10 or 15 conversations that you've had, or all the previous conversations. And it'll give a list of what items should be accomplished next or what you're really working on. Once that handoff document is made, I start a new chat. And the first thing I say to my new chat is read the Claude MD file. That gives it the context and prevents it from talking too much. And then secondly, I say read the handoff document. And so that new chat knows exactly what I need to do next. The reason that it's important to do this, switching chats and having a good handoff document, is because the longer you talk to Claude, the more tokens get used. It looks through that entire conversation every time you chat. When you start a new chat, less tokens are used. So it's a great system to follow, very, very easy. The third thing that I do is I make sure that all of my connectors are turned off, unless I'm using them for the project that I'm working on. But what this means is I turn off my connector to Gmail. I don't allow web browsing. You just go to connectors inside Claude Cowork and just turn them all off. The reason this is important is because every single time you have a chat, Claude is looking for those connectors and using up tokens because of them. The fourth thing that I do is after I've been working for quite some time and maybe I've moved over to 4 or 5 different conversations, which means I've had 4 or 5 handoff documents created, I know that I'm likely getting close to the end of my token limit for the day. So I have Claude create one final handoff document. And then I type in /context, and then you can see what's been using up all of your tokens. And it gives you an idea about where the hell you stand with your token limit. Now, with that final handoff document, what I do is I go over into Codex, which is made by the same people who make ChatGPT. I go over to Codex, and I simply just load that handoff file into Codex, and I say, here's what I've been working on with Claude. Can you help me finish the rest of this project, or can you help me move on to the next step until my token limit is refreshed at 3 a.m. or whatever? And for the most part, at least in my experience, Codex picks up right where I've left off. And I just heard recently that Codex has had an update, and it looks like it's going to be able to do a lot of the same things that Cowork can currently do. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's the system that I've been using, and it's been working pretty great. I'm having an awful lot of fun building this way, and I'm really looking forward to doing more. I hope this helps.